live, you are live.
Welcome to today's Sunset Safari, and there's Gerald the giraffe peering down upon us. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have the very large Jean-Ray Garing on the back of the camera, and we have the Commander Bond, otherwise known as James Henry, with Dangerous Dave the Dish out on Wendy. So we're back up to 2 vehicles. Very exciting news. And I think we have Geraldine and Louise in final control. And of course Gerald here to welcome us for the Sunset Safari. Nice big male giraffe. Now I know you guys had a fantastic sighting of Mr. Quarantine with Jamie this morning. Now during the day Karula was spotted not far from where we are. So both James and myself are starting out having a quick look for the Queen of Djuma. And then after that, I think I'm going to meander down towards Cheetah Plains. Remember, this is a live African safari. You are seeing Gerald the giraffe at the exact same time as we are. And also, if you want to know a bit more about giraffe, feel free to ask us questions. And you can do that by using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Or send us an email, questions@WildEarthTV. Now, Gerald looks like he's just enjoying the sun. It's about 23 degrees Celsius, 72 Fahrenheit, and it's a glorious winter's afternoon here in the Sabi Sands Game Reserve in South Africa, and more particular, we're on Djuma Private Game Reserve, and as you can see, the beautiful powder blue sky behind that magnificent giraffe. He doesn't look too concerned with feeding. And it does look like he's just basking and giving us a look. They are incredible creatures. So while we are looking at this glorious giraffe, I'm passing my radio back to Jean-Ray, who is the head of our camera department, who is going to try troubleshoot while live an audio problem on the other vehicle. Here we go, Jean-Ray, here's your radio. Now here's a little behind-the-scenes snippet. Maybe I can turn the camera on to Jean-Ray while he dictates. Oh no, he's zoomed. Oh, sorry. I'm making a mess here. We'll leave it on the giraffe. Jean-Ray is saved from... Jean-Ray is going to be saved. Here we go. So here we go, Jean-Ray is troubleshooting camera problems at the moment. Now he's putting it on me. Yes, now he's trying to make me feel awkward. But that's not a problem, because I'm tall and I have long arms.
James, the second menu option should be audio. It should be audio, and the second menu option near the last set of that menu option will be XLR inputs, and there you'll have either splitting one.
It's very good to have a very clever head of camera department who's able to fix such things. Of course, we would be nothing without our camera and tech department to enable us to send you this glorious signal from the middle of the African bush. Us, we are just the Jeep jockeys who talk nonsense and get to look for animals. And speaking of looking for animals, we're going to continue on now and see if we have any luck with the tracks of the Queen of Djuma, Karula, the female leopard. Bye, Gerald. Now, as we leave Gerald, James Richards wondering, do giraffes have scent glands? And if so, what are they used for, since the giraffe are non-territorial? It's a very good question, James. They will be used to a degree, mark dominance. So a dominant male or a female estrus will exude pheromones from those scent glands and help the males to track her down so they can produce the next generation of Djuma giraffes. Okay, so we're going to start looking carefully for tracks. But James said she was heading in a sort of easterly direction. So we're going to loop down towards Leadwood Road. Oh, but of course, it's not only about the leopards. And we've got a little bird part here, and I can actually see quite a few different species. Okay, Jean, let's start on the Ziziphus up. And, okay, let's see where you are above. Yes, there we go, you're good.
Where are we going?
And a little bit to the right, center, so go a little bit, oh, you've got it. There we go. There's a little crombeck, tiny little insectivore, cleaning his beak. A little bit down to the right, okay, zoom there, Jean. On the, a little bit to the top, left, a little bit. Oh, it's hopping away, unfortunately. And there was a southern black tit. Oh, you can see, what is that brightly coloured yellow bird there? It was an oriole. There we go. Nice, Jean-Andre. He's spotted a black-headed oriole. Not the clearest view of one. I'm just going to move forward a skosh, see if we can look a bit deeper into the Ziziphus macronatum, or buffalo thorn. Very important. Oh, that's what the, there we go. We heard those goa birds. Wow, wow, there's an African hawk eagle. You can hear all the birds now suddenly come alive with alarm calls because there's a predatory bird around. Now, hawk eagles are incredible hunters of other birds. That looks like a juvenile. Yes, it is a juvenile. Look how full its crop is as it turns. It's got a full bird in there. A juvenile African hawk eagle. And it sent all the other birds into a little bit of a panic. But it is getting further away. I can't see. Oh, there we go. It's going higher. Beautiful, beautiful. You see those little white windows in the wing. And it's a very diagnostic feature. And it's even, there we go. You see them right on the tips of the wings, that lighter coloured feathers. It's a diagnostic feature of the hawk eagles. But look at his crop. Now, a crop is where a bird stores its food. Look how full it is. He might even have 3 crombecks in there. Normally, they feed off bigger birds. Guinea fowl is a favourite prey. Franklin, oh, off it goes. Very seldom the smaller birds, but they are often hunt in pairs. So this juvenile is probably dispersing from its mother and father that actually nest not too far from where we are now. And it'll disperse and eventually probably go set up a territory of its own and find a mate. Now, we still got a few birds hopping and bopping about. And just, okay, so zoom where you are now, a little bit lower, that bottom left branch of the, oh, there you go, you got it. Just flew, crested barbet. So, oh, and off we went. That's a fruit bird. Well, they're not playing along so much in this windy weather. It's not too windy, but enough wind to keep them a little nervous. Now, actually, I've changed my mind about where I want to go. And these birds have inspired me to get down into the Mawati River. Now, it's a great place to bird, especially at this time of the day. It's warm as winter goes, at about 23 degrees, but it's still cool enough that we're going to get quite a lot of activity, and we're going to find these bird parties around the river system. So let's hope for some exciting birds, and also this is where Karula was last seen. We also know Queen Karula is one to change her mind, and so she can duck and dive and change direction. One of my favorite little sections of Djuma is through here. So while we see what we can find in the Mawati riverbed, let's go to Commander Bond, who, thanks to Jean-Andre, is on the road.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this end of your sunset safari. Of course, the sun is not setting just yet, but you are still on a safari regardless of the position of the sun. You are on a live safari, as Brent told you, so please do talk to us during the course of the next 3 or so hours. Hashtag Safari Live, questions at WildEarthTV. My name is James Henry. On camera today we have David in a t-shirt and not his bank robber's outfit as he had on this morning. Now, our plan this afternoon is to head towards the waterholes. It's been a nice warm day. Maybe there'll be a few things that want to come and have a bit of a drink. Perhaps some elephants, perhaps some buffalo, perhaps a great herd of lions. Who knows? We might be lucky, we might not. This afternoon I was doing a little bit of a drive, sort of before drive, if you like, and we did see Karula round about where Brent is, but we're in Wendy now, recalcitrant old bag that she is, and her signal ain't so great around where Brent is now, so with any luck he'll pick up Karula there. She wasn't with the cubs, so whether or not she'll still be around there, I'm not sure. But we'll wind our way slowly back there. First thing we're going to do is go to Sydney's Dam, see what we can find there, and then we'll head towards Buffelshoek Dam and see what we can find there. Well, you are all most welcome, and please do talk to us on this marvellous Saturday afternoon. I'm going to guess that it's around 25 degrees Celsius in the sun. Not so warm when you're in the wind, because there is a little bit of a wind blowing. It's 23 degrees Celsius apparently, 73 degrees Fahrenheit, that's what the internet tells us. How true it is, of course, we're not really sure, but yeah, that sounds about right. Not bad for midwinter, really, quite pleasant. So we'll just go into these clearings here and have a look and see what we can see. The sky, you can see, is not quite, it's not burnt out, but it is quite pale towards the horizon, and I think that's a function of the fact that there has been a front blowing through. There's been some wind, and that's probably quite a lot of dust there. So it's not that sort of crisp, clear thing that happens just after a front has been through. David, there is a bird. It is a Cape glossy starling, but it has some friends with it. And you may have just heard them fly off going... Those were red-faced mouse birds. Unfortunately, they have departed. But there is the Cape glossy starling. Very, very similar to the greater blue-eared glossy starling, the only difference being the call, basically. Right, well, I don't think he's going to fly, actually. I think he's going to sit there for most of the rest of the afternoon. That being the case, let's head back across to Brent, who has found himself an antelope.
I just heard something. We were actually about to look at a Nyala, and I just got a report on the radio that Karula's right here. So I'm trying to get there. It sounds like she is heading south towards the boundary, so hold on. Let me just grab my game drive. Ferrari Safari. Elvis confirmed best approach is from Gary, man. Okay, hold on, guys. So we were looking in the right area. Now we're going to see if how Jean's rodeo skills are. This is quite fun though. Sand driving is something I did a lot of growing up in northern Botswana. Yeehaw! There we go, Jean's on the rodeo. This is, we're about 2 minutes, not even, from where Karula is, and I see the vehicle, and she is apparently heading south, so we might just get a glimpse of her. Woo, sand flying up there. Okay. She's just up here. The Queen of Djuma. Walking down our southern boundary. There she is there. Isn't this amazing? We're with the Queen of Djuma. If any of you are new to Safari Live, this is the dominant female leopard over Djuma, and her territory does extend to the south of our Traverse area, so I'm just gonna pop there we go and stop here. There she is. Let's hope she cuts back to the northwest, and that's into Djuma rather than to the south. Now she does have 2 cubs at the moment, and we're not sure where she's hidden them. She could have hidden them to the south. She could have hidden them on Djuma. That's a good girl. It looks like she wants to take that elephant path as the right one. Okay. There she goes. So I'm going to watch her very carefully. Now, Karula is one of the few female leopards that I've spent a lot of time with that moves a lot during the day. Quite a lot of leopards will sleep during the day, but Karula does tend to move quite a bit in the daylight hours. So James's intel was spot on about where to start looking. We both started and we were both coming in on that area to try maximize our chances of seeing her. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a long trip around her and get up ahead of her. Jean is going to keep an eye on her for me. So we're going to go, fortunately, this nice new built road. I'll go that way, Karula. So it looks like, by the way she's chosen to go, her cubs might be to the south. I was hoping she was going to walk further up the road towards Treehouse Dam. She is heading to the south. Now she might just, she's going to pop out. Let me just get us in the right spot. There we go. She's going to pop out in that little opening there, Jean. Okay, good. So unfortunately she is going to the south. I think she's probably returning to the cubs. Now what we want to look at her carefully. Oh, she's coming back towards us. I'm going to just get a photo of her face. No, she's hungry. There's no blood around her face. I was hoping she might have made a kill and was returning to fetch the cubs and bring the cubs back to Djuma. Now she probably has gone into this slightly thicker area, and that's to help her stalk. So if there's a little steenbok or possibly impala around, there's a lot less chance of her being spotted when she's in that monkey orange thicket. So I'm just going to let a car go past. He's not on game drive, he's on his way past. Okay, we're going to try to keep up with her now. She's parallel to us. And I'm just going to... She still might easily cross into Djuma. I think she's just utilizing these thickets to her advantage in case there are any potential prey species up ahead. There she is. Isn't she gorgeous? The queen of Djuma, Karula, the female leopard. One of the most successful leopard mothers I've ever had the privilege of spending time with. Who raised the majority of her known litters to adulthood. Now that is no mean feat when in the Sabi Sands the average leopard mortality is about 75%. So 75% of all cubs born are normally killed, and normally by other male leopards. Okay, I'm going to stop. She looks like she might come back onto the road. And you can see she's just lifted her tail. She's been spotted by some birds. And you'll notice leopards do that when they've been spotted by birds or by antelope. But when it's antelope and the antelope are alarming at them, they tend to lift their tail much higher. But with birds, they'll just lift the little curl. Hi, our bird. Our bird would like to know. I'm just going to try. Don't go that way. She might just. I'm just trying to figure out where she's going. I'm going to be back with you in a second. Now, our bird would like to know whether she'll gorge herself first before collecting the cubs, or collect the cubs immediately. Normally she will eat, possibly not gorge herself, but she'll definitely make sure she's had a meal. Oops, sorry, John, that was a bit harsh on the brakes there. Before she fetches the cubs, but generally quite a quick meal. And you can see how that rosetted camouflage walks and breaks up her outline. And if she had to keep still, she would almost disappear. Absolutely incredibly beautiful creatures. You're just going to have a vehicle come past you shortly. Don't worry about it. It's just Elvis. He's the one who called. He's the one who called us to come find Karula, so we owe him a thank you. I just hope she doesn't head further south. Keeping an eye on her. She's in a little bit of a monkey orange thicket. She's going to pop out into that gap, Chandra. There we go. Here she comes. 3, 2, 1. Now, Karula loves monkey orange thicket. Now, that's mostly because two of her favorite prey species spend a lot of time in the monkey orange thickets. That's the steenbok and duiker. Now, the reason she likes those smaller species is she is a female leopard. She's She's not the biggest female leopard around either. Hold on, Chandra. We need a bit more of a jump to get over that one. There we go. And she probably weighs about 35 kgs, which is just about 80 pounds or so. And a big male impala is quite a... not to say she can't catch them, but she can't lift them into the tree. So, oh no, she's going south. John, maybe get one last view for you. And she disappears. You got her? There she is. I think she is heading back towards the cubs. We might get one last view. There is a little river system that comes here, and I know we can look down it from a certain spot, so let's try for one last view of the queen of Djuma. Still just make her out through the bush there. See her, Jean? I think she might have ducked down into that river system. Where are you, Queen Karula? There she is. Further behind. Okay, Chandra, just hang where you are. There she is. Zoom dead center. There we go. So she is heading straight into that little river system. I'm afraid I think that's the last we're going to see of her on this sunset safari. But what an incredible start, and she is looking healthy, if not a bit hungry. I'm going to hang around here for a little bit in case she changes her mind, but I don't think so. We might actually get one more view as she crosses. There's a slight open area over there. Let's have a look. What do you think, Chandra? Maybe. This is going to be our best chance. Somewhere through here. maybe not. Oh, we're causing traffic jams again. Let's just jump out of the way. Let's just jump forward again. Georgie's wondering how old are Karula's cubs at the moment. They're born on the 2nd of January or February. So March, April, May, June, July. They are 5 months old now. And yeah, I don't think we're going to get another view of her. And she's headed sort of southwest. Come for. Good luck. I'm just saying thanks to Elvis for helping us find her. Lucky we were so close, and good information from Commander Bond got us looking in the right area to start. Oh, alas, Queen Karula has left us. Just okay, so well, that's an exciting start. I'm going to start making my way down to the east towards the Cheetah Plains and see if we can find Karula's last successful set of cubs. One of the young boys she had, Quarantine, who was seen with Jamie on the Sunrise Safari. So while we do that, let's go see what Commander Bond's up to.
Well, while you've been looking at leopards, everybody, we've been staring into the wind. But there, if you'd like to see it, is a lion. Would you like to see a lion, David?
Yes.
Have you seen the lion, David?
Not yet.
Ah, this is why I asked you if you had needed glasses. But I, of course, being deeply aged, have seen the lion and the hippopotamus, on top of which is sitting a heron. Now, David, it is my firm belief that around... Can you see the lion?
It's on your screen, yes.
Oh, wonderful. Well done. Now, that is good news. That is a stroke of blind luck, everyone, and I'm hoping desperately that that lioness has got behind her 3 little cubbies. Let's go and have a look-see. Just quickly have a look at the hippopotamus with his friend the grey heron. That's Gareth the grey heron on Bob the bachelor of Biffle's Hook. And who the lion is, I don't know. This is wonderful. I can't believe it. I really had no idea. As you came live here, I looked on that little spit of land, that little peninsula stretching out into the great vastness of the Biffle's Hook water, and there was the lioness. Ha ha! Now, this is grateful joy. Let's see if the little cubs are there. I don't see any cubs, do you, David?
No.
That is distressing. Right, let me stare into the abyss with my binoculars. I see another lion. There's another lion there, Dave. That looks like the young Kuhuma lioness. Who are these? Can you see the other one, David?
Nope.
Go down to the right-hand side, in the shade there. There, you're on her. Zoom in there.
Gotcha.
Now, everyone, we don't have the long lens here. I'm looking at that one with my binoculars. I don't know who she is. She looks quite young to me. And she looks like she's been mangled. Yeah, she's got lots of injury or mange around her face. She's just laying down. She's definitely lactating. Whoever that female is lactating. This is fantastic. I wish I had a very long camera lens. Let's just sit here for a little while, and then we'll go round and see if we can get a better view there. If our signal breaks up, I might tell Brenty that he would be benefited by coming to here, but I think he should be alright. We should be okay for now. And I know that our signal is strong where we're sitting now, But that's because we're on the damn wall, and we're going to have to try and get a little bit closer around the other side. Isn't this wonderful? It's so nice when you get a surprise like this. When you're really not expecting it at all, especially after Dave and I came past here, what, Dave, 3 or 4 times this morning? Well, twice. And found nothing. Yes, and Aaron, you're absolutely right. Cat-a-day Saturday. Thank you, Aaron. Right, I'm going to try and take one picture, and then let's see if we can get a little bit closer. Don't know which ones. Okay, let's go around. Just so that the female on the ground there is definitely lactating. There's another lioness there. There's another 2 lionesses there. There are 4 lions there. There are lions everywhere. This is amazing. Oops, there are 4 lionesses now here at Buffelshoek Dam. Now, where are the cubs? I mean, as much as we are fascinated by the adults, it is the little ones that we really love to see. So we're going to be able to see here it looks to me like there are at least 2 lionesses lactating here. In fact, there are 5. There's another one. There's another one there in the bushes.
Yep.
That looks like a male. Can you see it there?
Yep.
It's a male in the bushes there, everyone. And he looks like Skinny Pom Pom to me. You got him there?
Yep.
Yep. Right. Yes, thank you, X-Ranger. You say, with utmost skill and most amazing talent, James has managed to find the lions. Yes, exactly. I drove with great skill to Buffelshoek Dam, whereupon I spotted the lions in the open. Well done me, pat on the back. Ah, the male just kicked some elephant dung onto one of the females, who looked up in deep concern. Now, if you look, that one there that you're looking at, whose belly you can see, she's definitely lactating. You can see she's got swollen teats. If you look at the one that just rolled over, she too is showing evidence of swollen teats. And I wonder if they haven't come across here, perhaps to have a drink. And maybe those cubs are not too far away. And maybe that, you know what? This muck on their faces is blood. I think they've been eating something here. It wouldn't surprise me if it was still quite close by. Oh, very nice, David. One of them is now relieving itself.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. Now, everyone, I know I've mentioned this before, but if you ever want to smell something deeply disgusting, then lions are the way to go. That's wonderful. Got off the peninsula, walked down, stepped up to her friend, and is now weeing on her face, basically. That's really classic lion behavior, and this is why I am unable to see lions as royal, but far more as gangsters of the bush. This is fantastic. Now, Taxon told me that he had tracks coming this way earlier. We had baboons alarm calling here earlier. Yeah, she's definitely eaten that female. Now, Aaron, in Florida, you're interested in how on earth lionesses who both got babies would be able to differentiate between their babies if they're the same age. A, I don't think that they necessarily do, but B, if they do, it would be purely from smell. I think they can smell the difference. You know, lions can hear each other's voices. They know the difference between each other's voices. So I don't think it's that hard for them, you know, to distinguish their own. Now, I'm going to attempt a move to get a little bit closer, everyone. If we lose signal, I'm sorry, but we will manage to get it back, I'm sure. But as we go down into this dip here, we might lose signal. This is amazing. I wonder if they didn't eat something close by here. We had the baboon's alarm calling off there this morning. Ah. I'm not sure if you can hear us, Jerry. Are we on? Are we still live? Okay, wonderful. So we're okay here. We won't move too much now. We're right at the water's edge, the great expanse of Buffelshoek Lake, which will be truly, you know what, when it rains, just imagine this, everyone. When it rains here, we are going to be underwater. That's how big this dam has got, which is quite amazing, I think. You can see the great expanse. You can see the hippo there with his friend. I think Harry the heron is probably a better name, don't you, Dave? Rather than Gareth. There we go, Bob. Hello, Bobby. And the lions all over. Unbelievable. Beard, you're wondering about whether or not that hippopotamus would be a danger to cubs. Beard, I don't think so. No, I don't think it would come charging out of the water to kill the cubs. It might. I think it would pose much more danger to the adults, to be honest. But obviously, he's in the water. He's safe. They're out of the water. They're not a threat to him. They got between him and the water. He might become a lot more ornery with them, and he might give them a bit of a rev. But no, where he is now, he's fine, and obviously where the cubs are, well, they're hidden. That male, just look at the male there, David, ridiculous creature. I mean, that is hardly royal, is it? It's hardly regal behaviour. Lying in a bush with nothing but your nether region sticking out. Alice in Ohio, what a nice question from you. You say if they did have cubs, would they want this male lion around? Alice, it is my firm belief that lionesses, unless they are mating, never want the male around. He's no harm to the cubs. It's not because of the cubs that he doesn't want them around. It's just simply because he's a drain on their resources. I guarantee you he ate most of what they killed. And the only reason he was with them was because he was trying desperately to get something to eat. The biggest scavenger out here is not, contrary to popular belief, the hyena. It is the male lion. And so I don't think they'd necessarily want him around at all, but he's no danger to the cubs because he comes from the coalition that fathered them. So two of them definitely lactating. It'll be fascinating to try and follow them from here and see where they go. But I'm not sure how much movement they're going to be doing, given that they've just eaten. You can see how very full they are. And lions, of course, are expert sleepers. They'll outsleep just about any creature in the world. So we'll sit here for another little while, just see if they don't get up and move around, and then I think we'll probably move on, see what else we can find, and perhaps come back here a little bit later. I can hear some birds' alarm calling off to the right-hand side of your screen going... Whether they're looking at cubs or maybe a leopard coming this way is anyone's guess. I think these lions killed last night on this drainage line. Oh, the male has just rolled over. It's all action here, everybody. Look at that. He looks like he might almost look up, but not quite. I'm going to go and just investigate a little bit of the way up the drainage line, and while I do that, let's go across to Brent and find out what's happening at Cheetah Plains, and then I'll come straight back here to Skinny Pom Pom and the 4 lionesses of the Nkuhuma Pride.
So we're on Cheetah Plains now, and I'm heading down to where the last position of young Quarantine, the male leopard, was seen. He was right on the boundary, on the southern boundary, but the nice thing about young male leopards is they're not as big a marchers as adult males, so he might still be in that vicinity. 3 in a row pans, the only water around, so there's a good chance we could find him. And I'm sure Jean-Ray is hoping the same as me that we find him in the same spectacular fashion that we did yesterday, was it? When he was up in that glorious tree with a beautiful blue sky behind him. So we're actually taking the exact route we took yesterday when we went looking for Quarantine. You can see it's so dry at the moment. The drought is in full effect, and it is quite noticeable up on these crests. And while we were following Quarantine yesterday, we found that magnificent fig tree in the middle of the bush, and there it is, that green tree in the distance. Does that look like an atoll fig? We didn't have too much time to go look at it because we were following a leopard, but that's where we drove through yesterday. Quarantine took us on quite a tour of parts of Cheetah Plains that Jean-Ray and I had never seen before. Remember, we are a live safari. You're also able to ask us questions, and you can do that by using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, or pop us an email, questions@WildEarthTV. Now, as I said, a glorious winter's day, 23 degrees Celsius, 72 Fahrenheit, but still a bit of a nip in the air, especially while we're moving. I've battened down my hatches with my sleeves, and I think tonight's going to be colder than last night, so we might have to layer up shortly. Now, the nice thing about this weather is quite often the leopards are going to be basking in the sun as opposed to hiding in the shade. Makes them just that little bit easier to see. And of course, down in this part of the world, there's always a chance we might bump into those 2 cheetah boys. Now, the first time I saw those 2 cheetah was with Brian, and they were actually chased by Quarantine, the male leopard. Okay, let's have a look for some tracks here. Okay, so I know he walked down here. The last place he was seen was around here. And we had that fascinating interaction between Shivambalan and Quarantine. And James Richard saying it's fascinating how Shivambalan seems to be the one who has moved out of the area as opposed to Quarantine. Do I have any theories on that? I think Shivambalan's got a kill somewhere close by, and they only happened to meet when he came down for a drink. So I think he might have gone back to his kill. I'm going to go have a close look around Owl's Nest and that area after, if we don't have any luck with Mr. Quarantine down here. So I think that's possibly why, although Quarantine normally is further to the north, and it looks like Shivambalan has pushed him to the south. Now he was left sleeping upon a termite mound. I'm guessing it must be that one. Let's go have a look at it. So this is the southern edge of our traverse area. You see tracks? Jean-Ray spotted some tracks. Okay, we just do this. I can examine them. Fortunately, they happen to belong to an African civet, Jean-Ray. It's a big civet, yes, but a civet nonetheless. I'm just going to check up here a little bit. Just checking very, very carefully up in the trees and on top of the termite mounds. While we check carefully in this vicinity, let's go see how James is doing with the kitty cats at Buffelshoek Dam.
The kitty cats, everybody, have been in high action since you've been away. The male went to the loo precisely where he lay. He didn't even bother to move. That's wonderful. And one of the females got up, moved 3 steps and lay down again. Oh, and there we have another one just rolling over. Well done. Now, I know that I'm very sarcastic about these lions, but they're just, when they are asleep, they are so asleep, it's quite astounding. Definitely they've eaten something. They've got blood all over their faces. They've got big, fat, full bellies. 2 or 3 of them at least are lactating. And it would be so wonderful if 1 or 2 of them got up and led us to their cubbies, which can't be too far away from here. So we had a question this morning also about whether or not the pride was together, whether the 5 of them were together. Well, here are 4 of them. I'm not sure who's missing, but it might well be Amber Eyes that is missing. Monique, a nice question from you. You're all the way from London. You say, could the 5th Nkuhuma lioness be guarding the carcass somewhere? Monique, I don't think so. I'm 90% sure they would have finished whatever it was. They would have then come and had a drink here. If there was still meat they'd have been eating, then 1 or 2 of them would come down, have a drink and go straight back to the carcass. It's unlikely that they would have left a carcass unattended. And they don't guard things for each other like some of the other animals do, like wild dogs, for example. They don't do that. They live lives of apparent egalitarianism, but actually they're pretty selfish, these lions. And I'm just not sure where the other female is or which one she is. It would be nice to know. I might just have to get onto the radio briefly. Oh, look at that. Definitely you can see extensive suckling there. Sorry, 1 sec, everybody. Elvis, you can make your way. I'm sure Mike will be a little while still, and I will move out as soon as you get here. Where are you now? I'm just helping these guys get into the sighting, everyone. I'm going to give up there because no one's listening. And the male, of course, classic example of male behavior. He's clearly eaten himself into oblivion, and at the expense of the ladies who probably caught him his meal. And Aaron, you say we've got one b-boy here. We do. Where the others, don't know. There was one on Biffle's Hook this morning, so there are at least one there. There is at least one there. There might be two. I don't know. They're not particularly cohesive unit, or not obviously cohesive unit, these Birmingham boys. The other thing, Dave, can you get in on the far one there, on her hind quarters, her substantially powerful hind quarters there? Yes, she heard that, didn't you? Yes, you did. Sorry, I didn't mean it insultingly, I promise. There we are. You can see they're still spotted. And for those of you who were with us when we saw the cubs the other day, they're extensively spotted. And you can see the lionesses retain some of that spotting on their undersides. And she's a youngish one, that one there. Her nose completely pink, probably a juvenile, sort of two. I think she's about 3, if I'm not mistaken. Possibly born to the same litter as Junior, in which case she'd be 4. But I don't know them that well. But apparently my audio is getting high and low. I'm just checking my microphone. Geraldine, it all feels fine this end. Davey, are you getting that effect? Geraldine, I'm afraid it's from your side. Davey's monitoring it fine. And the other thing to show you around here, of course, David, if you would, is this magnificent spray of fine mud. There it is. Wouldn't you like to leap into that, everybody? Delicious. The lions aren't great wallowers, of course. They're much better sleepers than they are wallowers. Now, I think it's quite unusual that these Birmingham boys are so seldom together. It's not unusual for a coalition of 4 or so to split into groups of 2 and then come together when there's trouble. Dave, quickly, sorry, on the side of the water here we've got some pretty birds. There we are. Blue waxbills, everyone. Not very easy to see with the light the way it is, but that's what they are. Little blue waxbills, and I think you saw some with Brent earlier, and they're just having a little drink. So the Majingalan coalition, which is dominant largely in the western sectors of the Sabi Sand, they are also 4, and they tend to be sort of they're in 2s, and then when there's trouble they come together. I don't think that they're often in 1s like these guys are, and I find this quite interesting, and whether they'll manage to maintain this territory in the face of a threat, given how they do split up so much, I don't know. Time will tell, of course. Bernie, look to your right. I'm just helping Bernie to come in. Yeah, Wild Earth Girly, you've obviously been watching for a while and you ask a very clever, valid question. Are there any signs of vultures around the place? There aren't, Wild Earth Girly. I don't know why there aren't, other than to say, well, there are 2 reasons. One is that they've probably finished whatever it is that they killed, and 2, of course, the vultures in this area, they're a little bit thin on the ground these days. There's just not that many of them, which is, of course, very sad. And somebody sent me through some wonderful information the other day, and about the fact that vultures are being killed by antibiotics and various chemicals that are given to cattle. And I think that is a major problem. But I think largely out here its collection for the sort of traditional medicine trade. Flicking ears. Right, everybody, we don't have very long here. We're going to spend another 5 minutes here, and then we're going to have to move out because lots of people want to come and see them. I think we'll probably then come back a little bit later. One sec. Oh, look, Dave. Some buffalo there. Look at that, everyone. 2 buffalo. They won't be able to see these lions. They'll see us, though. This will be interesting. Right, stations 3 standbys now. Standby 1 is Mike, then Elvis, but whoever gets here first, I will move out as soon as you get here. Then yours, then Tax. I'll move out as soon as the next station gets here. That's very nice to see. Now, they won't come down to the water because of us. They'll be a little bit nervous of us now. Let's see what happens here. And then, like I say, what we'll do is come back here a little bit later. I think I'm pretty sure that one of these lactating females is the mother that we saw earlier this week. And Jess, you wondering about whether the missing lioness will guard the cubs or whether they'll be left alone. Jess, I'm 99% sure that they'll be left alone. They don't guard each other, the lionesses. They don't look after each other's youngsters. They're particularly poor at doing that sort of thing. And what they'll do is just leave the cubs in cover. Those cubs are now sort of 6 weeks old, the first ones that we saw. The others probably slightly younger than that. And they'll just be left in thick cover in a little cave, maybe if they can find one on the drainage lines, otherwise in some thick bush. And that's where they'll remain. And then these ones will go back. They're not like wild dogs. Wild dogs are probably the only species out here where there'll be a guard, where the adults will stay behind and look after them. 7 different places that the sun is reflecting off the water into my eyes, so I can hardly see what these buffalo are doing. But the lions have not reacted at all. Now, interestingly, the wind is blowing from the lions to the buffalo, and it might be why they're a bit weary, but I think they're a bit weary because of us. And Jen B, you want to know if they could smell the lions. I don't know. This is not based on any kind of knowledge, but I'm of the opinion that predators out here don't smell like we think they do. I'm sure they do have a scent, but I don't think that it's that easy to pick up. And I don't think it's that easy to pick up because there are animals out here that have evolved to hide their own scent. And I would have thought that something like a lion, which is an apex predator out here, didn't smell particularly to buffalo. So I don't know that they can smell them. They certainly, I mean, it's impossible to tell here. They're looking our way, but they could be just looking at us. Sorry, my eyes are now dying as a result of this reflection off the water. And the buffalo have now actually turned around facing the other way. And Carolyn, you ask a very, very good question about the water here. You've seen that it's green and grey and greasy, to quote Rudyard Kipling when he spoke of the Limpopo. And you say, how is it that animals are able to drink this without and be unaffected? Well, In much the same way that if you go to India, for example, people will tell you, don't you dare touch the water, don't eat anything that isn't cooked, because the water there is so bad it'll have your guts running for days. And indeed it will. But if you're an Indian and you're used to it and you've grown up there and your stomach has become used to the bacteria in the water, it doesn't affect you. It's exactly the same thing out here. So there's a lot of bacteria in this water. The buffalo go to the loo in it, the elephants go to the loo in it, and the fish go to the loo in it, as do many of the terrapins. But it doesn't affect them because they're used to it. That's how they've evolved. They haven't evolved to drink pristine clear water. Pristine clear water almost is unheard of out here, and so that's why they're not affected by it. Let's just go back and have a look at the lions, and if you consider what they're able to eat, I mean, these lions are able to eat things that would not only make your stomach turn, they make your nose turn, and it doesn't affect them. So it's just the fact of the matter is that their digestive systems are so very different from ours, and so they're able to drink the most rancid kind of water and eat the most rancid kind of meat, because if they weren't able to do that, they couldn't survive in an area like this. And it's one of the reasons that human beings, modern human beings, would really struggle to survive in an area like this without, just living off the land. It's a good question, though. And the elephants don't like this water. They'll drink it if they have to, but they will reject it out of hand if there is freshly pumped water. And it's one of the reasons they take the trouble to dig up pipes, so they can feel water flowing underneath the roads and in the pipes, and they will absolutely dig them up and suck the water dry, because they don't like to drink this kind of disgusting green muck, pea soup created by the dung of so many other animals. Here come the buffalo. They're just coming up now to the water, and then you might be able to see the hippo with them. It's quite fun. I might take a picture, David. Are you looking forward to seeing it?
Indeed.
I think you're lying, David. I don't believe you're looking forward to seeing it in the slightest. David is my strongest critic, everybody. Brian in Philadelphia, very nice question from you. You say predators are opportunistic, lions are opportunistic hunters. Even though they're so full, would they consider hunting these buffalo? The answer is yes. If they got close enough, absolutely they would. But whether they get close enough or not, I don't know. The other thing to notice, or to note, Brian, is that although they could get close enough, a buffalo bull is not to be trifled with unless you're pretty hungry. And you'll find that these lions will be very weary of taking on a buffalo bull at the best of times. When they're full and in the middle of the day, I think they'll definitely think twice about it. I'm not sure that they'd have a go. There are all the oxpeckers and things. Wonderful. Very peaceful scene on one side of the dam, or a pretty peaceful scene on the other side of the dam too, just much less active. Lurking, the lions. I'd be interested to know if these buffalo are able to sense them or not. I'm not convinced they would be able to, until they saw them. But I've so far failed to take anything worthwhile of a photograph. It's so tricky, David, especially with my skills. One more. With the geese. No. Dreadful effort. I just took it for the sake of it. One day, everyone, one day, I shall achieve greatness. Yeah, and astounding number of flies, they're reflecting in the sun, and I find that the only time I feel like it's an attractive sight when there's a buffalo is when there are flies all over the place. And everybody seems to be leaving, so I think we can probably stay. I think everyone's leaving, might just be us. There are stations, there's no need to stand by, you can all pull straight in. 2 stations are leaving, I will leave as soon as there's 3 vehicles here. Ooh, Dave, sorry, the heron there, which just landed, has managed to catch something. You can just see something in his beak there. He may have swallowed it already. Yeah, maybe not. He looked like he had something in his mouth. And the buffalo have gone. The lions didn't pick them up. The buffalo didn't pick the lions up. And so often, you know, you see a scene like that and you think, oh goodness, here we go, there's high action about to happen. And then it all just kind of fades gently, which I think is quite nice actually, especially if you happen to be an old buffalo bull who's managed to get that far in life. Not very nice to be set upon by 5 lions on a Saturday afternoon, just before you go down to the pub. That's a really pretty picture, David, I think. You don't think so? David's not so artsy, you see. I'm so artsy that I can see the artistry in it. There we go. Come on, David. Eh? Is that not pretty? It's quite 80s. You can see they are doing nothing now. Nothing at all. Absolutely nothing. Right, I'm going to spend another 5 minutes here, everybody. If I sit around these lions for too long, I'll fall asleep. But while we're doing that, let's go across to Brent, get an update from him as to what's going on Cheetah Plains.
So unfortunately it looks like quarantine has continued to the south. He's visiting the southern climes. So we've made our way now towards the edge of the open areas, and we're going to go towards possibly my favorite spot. Actually not possibly, my favorite spot on Cheetah Plains. And that is the area around Buff Pan. Now, we've got those reddish soils, we've got slightly different trees, or the same trees that are growing slightly differently. This is also the favorite hangout for Nkanyeni. She hasn't been seen in about 3 days or 4 days. She was last seen heading southeast from Nkoro into the Kruger. So there is a possibility she might come back through this area we're going to go check now. And I would love to see that leopard. She is, I think, my favorite female leopard we see on Safari Live, so I'd love to catch up with her. Now, there's a possibility she might have lost a cub. And with quarantine, spending a lot of time in this area, he's more than likely the culprit. But we have been proved wrong before, so I'd love to be proved wrong again, or everyone to be proved wrong, and that the cub just didn't feel like being seen the last couple of times she was seen. So we're going to go check through here, down past the edge of this open area, down towards Buff Pan. And it doesn't look like anyone's driven here today yet, so lovely. We should have a nice, fresh set of sand to look at for tracks, devoid of motorized vehicle tracks. Well, devoid of motorized vehicle tracks from today. Rephrase that. Now the wind is quite strong here down on the plains, and John and I have already put our jerseys on. And check carefully for tracks. As I said, quite windy, so we're not likely to see many zebra or wildebeest or other animals, but you never know what could be out there. Hi Heidi. Heidi is in Kempton Park, South Africa. And Heidi would like to know, how did Quarantine the male leopard get his name? It is quite a strange name for a leopard. So outside Djuma, and outside the camps, there's a big open area called the Quarantine Clearing. Now, in days gone by, it was an area that was used to quarantine cattle before they were moved out of the area. So that's where it gets its name from. So there's been many attempts at cattle farming in this area, and it's proven quite often to be very unproductive. Lions being the main culprit, and so cattle farming was abandoned probably in the 50s. But before that area, those clearings there were used to quarantine cattle before they were moved. And after he became independent from his mother, Karula, the queen, he spent a lot of time hanging around Quarantine. So that's where he got his name. Quite often, depending on where you are, leopard names are generally either an identifying feature or an area that they frequent. Now, up here in the north, that's not so common. They generally get given other names like Karula, which means peaceful, or Tingana, which means shy. But for a great example, this is the Anderson male, and he was discovered on the property that's named Anderson when he was a young male, when he was independent from his mom. And so, especially if I think down to the further south where I've worked quite a lot, you've got, when I was there, you had Camp Pan, which is the male, because when he was independent, he spent a lot of time at Camp Pan. You had Vomba female, because she hung around the Vomba Dam when she was newly independent from her mom. Had Sunset Bend female, because she used to hang around the Sunset Bend clearings. And then we had the 3-4 female, because that was her spot pattern, 3-4. So it all depends. So everywhere's got a slightly different way and routine of naming leopards. This is the area I wanted to check very carefully. Beautiful, beautiful area around us here. Lots of big leadwoods and jackalberries in this little open river system here. So a magnificently large gardenia, which we're about to drive under. And you see just up ahead there, those are the solar panels for the water pump. There we go, as we swing past. And here's this gloriously large gardenia that we're going to disappear under. Let's just make sure no leopards in the gardenia. There we go, John Ray giving a beautiful tree, one of my favorites. Now, due to the drought, they haven't flowered this year, but when they do flower, they are quite spectacular. Beautiful yellow and white flowers. Now the next spot where, hello. I thought it was a drag mark. Elephant's dragging a stick. Now the next spot we're going to check is the spot where Dave and I, on a cold, windy afternoon, came across pangolin. So it's also the same area that we are checking for in Kanyeni. And actually the first time I saw her was not on Safari Live. I had friends who are out from the States and they just got married. Here we go. You spotted it, Jean-Andre? A purple roller, or a rufous-crowned roller, another name. So our two resident roller species in this part of the Sabi Sands is the purple and the lilac-breasted. I'll try and get a little bit closer. Hopefully it doesn't fly. Oops. Now, that is literally the only living soul we're seeing out on the open plains at the moment. How's that, Chandra? There he is. Very distinct little white eye stripe there. Now, purple, not really bright purple, more of a mauve, I would guess. And you can see they're a predatory bird, a little hook on the beak. Great devourers of insects, small lizards, geckos, even small snakes, and occasionally tiny, tiny rodents. But this is not great hunting weather for the roller either, and it's not looking too comfortable. So there's this little river system that runs from Buff Pan, and Kanyeni has used it quite often to stash the cubs in and to hunt around. Now I'm hoping that this area that's normally got quite a few impala and things like that around is where she might be. Just want to check this game park. And oh, there's a Birchall starling. I presume that was what you spotted, Andre. There we go, you can see that lovely iridescence shining off its feathers. Now, if you're a female starling, you look for the most iridescent male to be your mate. Now, they're probably hunting for termites out in this open plain. And where have they gone now? There are some other birds also hunting for termites out on the open wind-swept plains. And there's some yellow-billed hornbills about. I don't know where they've gone to. Oh, there's a very pretty bird, John Doe. Just going to move forward a bit. Oh no, he might come to us. You see him? No, not the hornbills. There's a little bee-eater. Okay, where'd he go? That log on the ground, on the far right side of it. I just want to get him past the tree. Got him. Very, very pretty little bird. A little bee-eater. Gorgeous little creature. See that lovely little powder blue eye stripe? Taken quite some time doing its makeup today. Whoop. And they'll often land right back on the same perch when they do that. Oh, he got something. Oh, it's gone. Now, and he's going to not land. Oh, not land back on the same perch this time. Oh. So, little bee-eater. And speaking of brightly coloured birds, Brock was wondering, do we get any kingfishers here? We do. Our resident kingfisher species are the insectivorous kingfisher species, and we have two that are resident throughout the year, and it is the striped kingfisher and the brown-hooded kingfisher. But during the summer months, we get the beautiful woodlands kingfisher, the grey-headed kingfisher, and when there's water in the dams, we get pied and sometimes even giant kingfishers as well. There's the yellow-billed hornbill, scuttling about, also hunting for termites. Oh, off it goes. Andres, the bird's not liking you today. But let's continue on. Lovely creatures, birds, and they're always about. There's always something to see out here in the African bush. Now, I just want to have a quick look at this little river here, see if there are any tracks. Now when I say river, that's quite a strong word. It's sort of a little dry stream bed. There's a pair of them, Jean-Andre. Now you've got to always look out. You've got them? No. Oh, there's one. And the other one's on the little branch to there. There's two back. Went back. Oh. There we go. Now you've always got to be mindful. Very rare in this area is a bird called a swallowtail bee-eater, which looks quite similar, but it's got a much deeper fork in the tail and slightly different coloration. And I've only ever seen them once in the Sabi Sands, and it would be a great coup to see another one now, do you feel? They are absolutely gorgeous. Now the bee-eaters are one of my favourite bird families, and I've been lucky enough to see almost all the bee-eaters that occur in Africa. But Asia's also got some absolutely gorgeous bee-eaters. not only basking in the sun, but also keeping a sharp lookout for any potential snacks. Whoop, like that. And you see how it beat its prey against the stick? Now, that's where they get their name from, because they do feed off honeybees. Now, our normal standard honeybee is the African killer bee, and so they will beat the bees to death so they don't get stung. Oh,
Coming back.
there's one closer to us. You got him? There we go. Now, in winter months, it's not uncommon to see sometimes 7 or 8 little bee eaters huddled together for warmth. Actually, let me just have a look. I might have an example of that. There we go. So, especially in the early mornings, before it gets warm, and the bee eaters will roost in little flocks. Exquisite little creature. Come on, John, you're going to catch a kill. See, I was constantly watching. Oh, there's the next one back. Who's got a kill? Yep, down the gullet. I'm just going to roll, Genre, to get that one pesky branch out of the way. Oh, there we go. Oh, sorry about that. There we go. Oh, and that quite often they have favourite roosts that they hunt from. They'll quite often fly, and they'll have normally about 5 or 6 different favourite roosts in an area. Oh, off they both go. Are they going to come back? No. But there we go. I was talking about how in the winter months they like to huddle when they sleep for warmth. And there's a lovely example of, how's that, Genre? Genre's going to, there we go. There's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 little bee eaters huddled together for warmth. And then that other bee eater that's quite rare in South Africa is the swallow-tailed bee eater. And let me just find, there we go, you can see. It's a very similar size, but you can see a much deeper fork in the tail, and the coloration is slightly different. Okay, well, let's continue. That was a lovely little sighting of those birds. They are absolutely gorgeous. Not to be confused with the blue-breasted bee eater of Central Africa. About the same size, fills the same ecological niche as the little bee eater. I'm just checking for tracks around here. Not yet. This part of the world, this is sort of ideal leopard habitat. Open plains leading right up to a little river system like this. It's got some bigger trees, but if a leopard was... What have you spotted? Oh, there we go. John spotted a lilac-breasted roller. And that reminds me, we had a question about rollers, specifically about the broad-balled roller, and that was from the armchair traveller. Now, broad-balled rollers are, in theory, they occur here, and not at this time of the year, though. They've already migrated further north. But I've seen them in the Sabi Sands, but unfortunately only generally around the Sand River or big river systems, and we don't have any major river systems here. There is always a possibility one might come visit the Mawati during a really good rainy year, but normally they like to stay around the bigger rivers, and that's the broad-billed roller.
Tilt the screen. Yeah.
Here we go. Also a beautiful bird. Okay, we're going to check a little bit further. The Kruger National Park lies just on the edge of this open area, and we won't be trespassing there. Just try and check carefully. Oh dear, dearie, dearie me. Poor Wendy, to use the exact words, what do you see? Poor Wendy, what's that there? Oh, it's an impala, I think. Shall I just have a look at the camera quickly? I'm just on the edge of the Kruger boundary, sort of there. Yes, it is a female impala. More than one female impala. Sorry, distracted there. I thought there might be something interesting. So the exact words described to me, Wendy has ceased to function. She is leaking profusely, and Wiem, aka the wildebeest Doornbank, is on his way to rescue James, and hopefully we'll be able to get that fixed in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. So alas, no tracks along this little river system. Now we've been chatting quite a lot of birds, and the birds have been giving us some very lovely views, the sunset safari. And Ashley in Missouri is wondering about the Amur falcon because she's just watched The Hunt. And the Amur falcon is a tiny little bird that migrates about 14,000 miles. They're not going to land, are they? Oh dear. Yep, they are keeping on flying. Some little fly catchers. So actually, we do get Amur falcons here, and we've seen them on drive on numerous occasions. Now, they get very big congregations in the center of South Africa in the big open grasslands, because their favorite foods are insects, and the big open grasslands provide more insects. Now, we've even seen a European hobby falcon, another migrant, on the live drives. Only once so far, as well as I know. And I was with you, Jeandre, I think, yes. I put Jeandre into a flat spin. We were sitting next to lions, and I was like, don't forget the lions, European hobby falcon, as it flew across. It's not something you see every day out here. Lions, we'd be seeing them. Now look what I've spied with my little eye from quite some distance. And we're going to race back there. They're going to be quite disappointed when they get there, I'm afraid. There's a little breeding herd of buffalo heading towards the Cheetah Plains pan. But they're going to find it very dry. They're probably going to head towards 3 in a row pan next. Now, you'll notice, even at this distance, the lack of young babies. Now, the drought is not good if you're a very small buffalo. Luckily for them, water is not far beyond that. We're going to do the long loop around, make sure we don't miss any cheetah. I think we should hit 3 in a row pan at about the same time as the buffalo.